All right, welcome to another edition of Ram Country Conversations. Of course, the border war coming up on Saturday against Wyoming. It's Military Appreciation Day and, of course, Veterans Day on Friday. So we're continuing with that military theme here this week on Ram Country Conversations as we welcome in Colonel Gregg Johnson. He commands the Air Force ROTC program at CSU, and Lieutenant Colonel Matt Tillman, he commands the Army ROTC here at CSU. Gentlemen, thanks for taking a couple of minutes out of, I know, your busy schedules, in particular here this week. And Colonel Johnson, let's start with you. Give us a little bit of your military background and how you ended up at Colorado State University.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. First, really thank you for this moment and the ability to share our stories and then also the stories of our cadets for sure. So really appreciate this opportunity with you and the RAM Network for sure. So my story, it begins back here at Colorado State University. Back in 1996, I was a December 1996 graduate and commissioned then went on active duty in January of 97. And boy, it's been a great experience and a great ride since then. I started out in pilot training in Oklahoma, was fortunate enough to get a C-17 out of pilot training, and that has been my primary aircraft I have flown for my career is the C-17 Globemaster III. And so not looking back, went to Charleston Air Force Base, been up to McGuire, been all over the world in that rapid global mobility mission. And I've lived in every time zone in the United States to include Alaska and Hawaii time. It's been a fantastic ride and coming full circle, with those operational missions. I've also had the opportunity to work on a joint staff with the U.S. Transportation Command. I've had a chance to work with the Department of State. So really a lot of our other entities in the government's unity of effort across the government for our national security. And Brian, what I want to say just during this Veterans Day and throughout my career is just the ability to work with incredible men and women across different mission sets and the incredible things that my brothers and sisters in arms do for national security is just amazing, blows my mind. And really got a chance to meet some great individuals across my career. And then my career coming full circle back here at Colorado State University. Obviously very grateful and fortunate for this opportunity to be back at my alma mater and coaching and mentoring our future and next generation of leaders in our Air and Space Force, for sure.
You bet. How about you, Lieutenant Colonel Tillman? Give us an idea on your military background.
I think this might be the only time this has happened at CSU, but I also started my journey here at CSU. So 2004, graduated from the business college and headed off right away into active service here at CSU. My first job was doing recruiting for the ROTC program here on campus. And my journey has taken me to 8 different spots around the country over the last nearly 20 years, with a couple of months here and there spent in Iraq and Afghanistan each. And then, back here again. I've got a brick out there in front of the stadium that says the Tillman story started at CSU, and it absolutely did. My wife and I met in Edwards dorm, and we've been doing this CSU thing since. Like Colonel Johnson, just so incredible to be back here as an alum, being able to pour into the next generation of military officers as they get ready to continue this really long legacy of military training at CSU that goes all the way back to 1883. It's just a whole lot of fun. So I've been a medical service corps officer for my whole career, which means I do medical administration things. But to put a better idea on that, I did tactical medicine in Afghanistan, so taking care of folks that obviously got hurt doing those missions there, all the way to my last assignment where I got to set up the COVID hospital that was in Seattle. So I was the chief administrator for that as we were getting ready to take care of folks there at the beginning of the pandemic in 2020.
Well, we appreciate you guys and thank you for your service and the work you're doing here at Colorado State. Colonel Johnson, ROTC programs do great work here at CSU and really have been nationally recognized. For a student whose family maybe doesn't have any military experience or background, how would you describe ROTC?
Great question, Brian. I would describe ROTC as an executive leadership program. It's one where we build foundations from freshmen, sophomore, all the way to our seniors of leadership, followership, and the things surrounding those characteristics and what we look at in the Air and Space Force. It's an opportunity to learn those foundations. It's an opportunity to help individuals financially if they need that financial help. But ultimately, I think Matt and I both think that this is an executive leadership program producing lieutenants for our Air and Space Force. And we do that through a series of building block approaches and coaching and mentoring. And it's not just, I think, Matt and I leading that effort, but also our members of our cadre that really play an important role in that coaching and mentoring as well.
Yeah. Lieutenant Colonel Tillman, I know you look at the fostering of leadership, and it's not just in the military, but on campus here at CSU as well with your cadets. But once they graduate, what are the various career paths that ROTC cadets can take?
So for the Army side, we've got 16 different basic branches they can go into. So if you think about the Army is the largest business in the world, both most certainly a number of people in the span. We've got everything from logisticians who are worried about how we're going to get fuel and parts and supplies to the front line to obviously the infantrymen, aviators. It really runs the gamut of what we've got out there to make sure that our wartime mission happens on the ground. One of the things that Colonel Johnson and I think is very important is that our cadets understand the importance of the joint force too. So trying to teach to them that that's got to happen with our Air Force brothers and our Naval brothers and even those Marines that are out there too. So.
All right. Well, look, it's Border War Week, obviously Military Appreciation Day on Saturday as well. But, playing for the Bronze Boot, we all know how cool the trophy of the Bronze Boot is. And of course, you think back to Captain Dan Romero, who wore the actual boot in Vietnam. But there's a lot of pomp and circumstance around it, including the boot run. And, Colonel Johnson, talk a little bit about the atmosphere around this game and what's going to be going on with your cadets. I know they're going to be running the 38 miles from the border down here to Fort Collins.
Yeah, thank you for that. I defer to Matt with some of those details, but I know our cadets are really excited to be able to participate. Matt talked about that joint effort. Yeah, we really do have a joint effort here between our Army and Air Force ROTCs to make that happen. It's an exciting time, Brian. We have a lot going on this weekend. You have the Bronze Boot. Again, we're able to run portions of that, along with being able to celebrate with over 100 of our ROTC alumni when we bring that boot into the stadium on Friday night, the ball into the stadium on Friday night. The atmosphere will be electric, and that will carry over certainly to Saturday with our connection time with alumni and family, and then with the culmination of the great Border War game that's going to happen. And so we're really excited with all the opportunities that will come along with that Bronze Boot run and that football run.
Yeah, Lieutenant Colonel Tillman, you can add on to that, the game ball being run 38 miles. So kind of describe the process on how your cadets handle that.
Yeah, sure. So it takes a total of 70 cadets to make this thing happen. So we've got 35 from the Army and 35 from the Air Force, and 4 at a time. So we'll run the national colors and the state of Colorado colors, and then the game ball, and then kind of that 4th man in reserve to make sure we're ready to go. It takes quite a bit. We've got 4 different vans that are out there. We've got a Larimer County Sheriff's deputy who's actually an alum of the program. We've got a state patrol officer, and then we've got even Colorado Department of Transportation out there to make sure we don't get hit as we come on into town and celebrate the 31st running of the Bronze Boot run here into town. And then hopefully that trophy stays here in town when we get done.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's really one of the great trophies in all of college football. Gentlemen, thank you so much again, not only for joining us here on this program, but for your service to the country.
Thanks, Brian. I just want to say, go Rams. Let's get that Bronze Boot.
Absolutely. Go Rams. Beat the Pokes. Thank you, Brian.
All right. Thank you. All right. That's Colonel Gregg Johnson and Lieutenant Colonel Matt Tillman. They command the Air Force and Army ROTC programs here at Colorado State. For those two gentlemen, Brian Roth saying, thanks for tuning in here to Ram Country Conversations.